What we will have next will delight you all, will really delight you all, because we will be presenting a wow family. But before that, it's interesting that one of the public officials said last night that it would be very difficult for lawyers and politicians to get to heaven because you can never trust them with the truth. A politician said that. But the head of this wow family that we will be presenting to you is an exception to that rule. As a lawyer, and later on as a public official, he always brought reforms to whatever agency or institute he was blessed to shepherd. And he was accorded, he was blessed by God, given the grace to head for quite some years very briefly, our Commission on Elections when it came from the dark season or the dark years. He changed that. Briefly, while his stint there was brief, but he brought light to the Commission on Elections, and we are grateful to him for that. Another high office he occupied was the Supreme Court of the Philippines. And again, there he communicated what Bishop John Lafitte said, communicated values with impact. So I'm very happy to present to you this afternoon a line of Hilarios, the family of Chief Justice, then Ambassador to the United Nations, before that, Chairman of the Commission on Elections, the latest one, though, being Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, Chief Justice Hilario Davide Jr., and his wife, Gigi, the woman behind the success of her husband, and also their son, who represents their other children, who is now Governor of Cebu, Hilario Davide III, and their grandson, who represents their grandchildren, Hilario Davide IV. So let's all welcome, and may their tribe increase. An ideal Filipino family, what we would say in the language started by Archbishop Sok yesterday, a wow family.
Thank you, Ambassador Tita, for your kind words of introduction. Your Excellency Archbishop Sok Villegas, the President of the CBCP, our beloved His Excellency Bishop Lafitte, the other Archbishops and Bishops, both of the CBCP and the Federation of Asian Conference of Bishops, Your Excellency Ambassador Tita, Ms. Wendy Lois, participants, both religious and lay, to this conference. My beloved wife Gigi and I, June, and our eldest son Hilario III, or Jun, now Governor of the province of Cebu, and our first grandson, Hilario Jose, or Hijo IV, express our profound gratitude to Her Excellency Tita de Villa, former Ambassador of the Philippines to the Holy See, for inviting us to participate in this first Asian Conference on the Family, whose theme is Families of Asia, Light of Hope. Ambassador Tita is the only lay Filipina who had several personal audiences and meetings with then Pope John Paul II, and who used to bring Philippine mangoes and other Philippine delicacies to him. We also learned that Ambassador Tita's granddaughter, Vada Rodriguez, was among the official youth welcomers for and on the first to greet Pope John Paul II upon his arrival at the airport when he came to the Philippines in January 1995 for the World Youth Day. Vada gifted the Pope with a garland and a poem she had composed. Pope John Paul II and Pope John XXIII were raised to the honors of the altar with their canonization last April 27, the Feast of the Divine Mercy. It was also during the term of Ambassador Tita that presented to the Holy See after the completion of the process were the documents relative to the beatification of a Filipino, Pedro Calungsod. So this was presented by His Eminence Cardinal Vidal to the Congregation for the Causes of Saints. Ambassador Tita at the time organized in the Vatican the Central Committee for the Beatification of Pedro Calungsod. The rest, of course, is history. Pedro Calungsod was beatified and given the title Blessed on 5 March 2000. He was canonized as Saint Pedro Calungsod on 21 October 2012. For that canonization, Ambassador Tita was even appointed as Secretary General of the National Commission on the Beatification of Pedro Calungsod, which was co-chaired by the Manila Archbishop, now Cardinal Luis Tagle, and Cebu Archbishop Palma. Undoubtedly, Ambassador Tita has now 2 new saints in heaven, in her family and in her home. Right now, we could feel that Saints John Paul II and Pedro Calungsod are lovingly smiling at her and us too. We could also feel the presence of Saint John XXIII because of Vatican Council II. We are all truly blessed with their presence, especially in relation to the theme of the conference, which focuses on the family. Saint John Paul II had given great importance to the family. Early in his papacy, he wrote the Familiaris Consortio, where he enumerated the rights of the family. This magnum opus on the family became a major source of the Charter of the Rights of the Family presented by the Holy See on 22 October 1983. In his homily during the Holy Mass and rite of canonization of Blessed John Paul II and Blessed John XXIII last 27 April, His Holiness Pope Francis called St. John Paul II as the Pope of the family, who wanted to be remembered as Pope of the family. It was during St. John Paul II's papacy that the UN started celebrating the International Year of the Families. Likewise, it was during his papacy that the Philippines became the venue for the 4th World Meeting of Families held on 24 January 2003. All this make him Saint of the family. And his presence with us now is a reality, not just a dream. This is his 3rd visit to the Philippines. Welcome back home, St. Paul John II. In his homily, too, Pope Francis mentioned of the ongoing preparations for the Synod on the family. It would be a 2-year journey toward it. This conference, then, may be considered a part of that journey, the first, as a matter of fact, in that journey in Asia. And it is also held during the year of the laity and the journey of the new evangelization. The laity is, of course, composed of families. Our CBCP's theme for the year of the laity is choose to be brave, called to be saints, sent forth as heroes. The families must be the first to respond to this challenge. And finally, This conference is held less than 2 years to the holding of the International Eucharistic Congress in Cebu. The timing then of the holding of this Asian Conference on the Family, with these momentous and historic spiritual milestones and events, it is not just a mere coincidence. It is divinely inspired. The Holy Spirit is at work. Ambassador Tita requested us in her letter of invitation to do our task under the conference sub-theme, Every Family is Part of the History of a People, and more specifically, to give a sharing on love of a 3-generation family under the program segment, Love is a Many Splendored Thing. She chose to gift us with this task because, according to her, the theme, open quote, coincides beautifully with the recent celebration of your 50th wedding anniversary, close quote. And she looked forward to Mrs. Davide, a son, preferably the governor, if available, a daughter, a granddaughter, or grandson, validating that indeed, for the Davide family, love is a many splendid thing. For this singular honor and privilege to be with you, words are thus definitely inadequate to express our profound gratitude to Ambassador Tita and the Central Organizing Committee chaired by His Excellency Archbishop Villegas, and with the honorary chairperson, His Eminence Cardinal Tagle and His Eminence Cardinal Quevedo. These 3 generations of the Davide family are not so far removed from each other in terms of years. Gigi and June are 74 and 78 years old, respectively, but still looking to look young again. June, the eldest of the 5 of the 2nd generation, is 49. The eldest of the 14 of the 3rd generation, Paige, is 25 years old. If they are not so close in terms of years, they are, however, one in faith, one in heart, one in mind, one in spirit, and one in love. Iho, our 6th grandchild, and now 15, will speak for the 3rd generation. He will be followed by Junjun, who will represent the 2nd generation. Gigi and June will do the sharing for the 1st generation. We now give you Iho. Iho.
I'm Hilario Jose Floredo Davide IV, the only child of Joseph Brian Hillary and Flora May Floredo. My father is the 2nd child of Lolo and Nani. Lolo and Nani are how I lovingly address and call my grandfather, Hilario Jr., and my grandmother, Virginia. Thank you, Lolo and Nani, for giving me this very rare opportunity to speak on family love in the 3rd generation of the Davide family, before a very distinguished group from different countries in Asia, who are all here converged for a very important subject, the family. This opportunity may not come again. It was Lolo and Nani who baptized me with the nickname Iho, taken from the first syllables of my 2 given names, Hilario and Jose. My nickname for all the others is Serge. At first, I thought that Lolo and Nani wanted to be different. But I learned later why Lolo and Nani chose Hijo because of its meaning. Hijo is the Spanish word for child, and children are the favorites of Jesus Christ. In school, we were taught that Jesus got angry at his disciples when they prevented the children to come to him. He told them that they could not enter heaven unless they became one of the children. Being the first grandson after the first 5 granddaughters, Lola and Nani were of course exceedingly happy when my papa and mama, upon the request of Lola and Nani, decided to give me the name Hilario Jose IV. I was baptized with that name. This perpetuates the name Hilario of my lolo up to at least the third generation. This perpetuation is one way of making easy the flow of love down to the next generation. I am now 15 years old and had just finished my second year of high school at the Southridge School for Boys, owned and operated by the Opus Dei. I have been in this school since my kindergarten years. Being the only child of my parents, I am showered with all their love, but they have never tried to pamper me. Their tender love and care are always tempered with strict disciplinary measures, such as constancy in attending holy masses with them on Sundays and other holy days of obligation, reciting the prayer before meals, praying the rosary and the morning and evening prayers, and cultivating proper and serious study habits. These were, of course, not difficult to follow because the Opus Dei education is built on deep spirituality. They ingrained on me the values of love and fear of God, love of family, honesty, integrity, humility, respect, kindness, generosity, and self-discipline. As to self-discipline, they encouraged me to be sports-minded. That is why I have focused on swimming, a sport that has immensely developed and enhanced my character and personality. Papa and Mama always remind me that I should faithfully observe family traditions, and that one of the greatest legacies I should protect and preserve is the closeness, unity, and solidarity of the generations before us. They admonish me to make us models the way our grandparents, on Papa's and Mama's side, were able to build happy families and homes that were never broken by misunderstanding, quarrels, infidelity, and whose trust in God was unsurpassed. We in the third generation remain the great beneficiaries of the love, joy, and peace in the homes of our grandparents. By example, by action, by deeds, they transmitted this love, joy, and peace to us. We are always invited to their homes, even on occasions that do not call much for the visit. Unlike in other great occasions, such as Christmas, New Year, Easter, and birth anniversaries, family reunions are part of the calendars every year. They would gift us on Christmas, on our birthdays, and other special occasions. Lola and Nani were always the first of their generation to send us greeting cards, without fail. We thank God for giving us loving, compassionate grandparents. They could not have done this were they not the beneficiaries of God's boundless blessings. The love they have shown and given us is but a sharing to us of that God-given love. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you, Papa and Mama, my Lolo and Nani, and Daddy Rudy and Mommy Flor, parents of Mama, for making me what I am now, a grateful third-generation child. I will not fail you, and I love you. Thank you very much.
And now, si Junjun, second generation.
Your Excellency Archbishop Soc Villegas, Your Excellency Bishop Gabriel Reyes, Excellencies of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines, Her Excellency Ambassador Henrietta de Villa, Miss Wendy Luis, I'm sorry, of the Federation of Asian Bishops' Conference, religious and lay leaders, and the participants from various countries of Asia. Lights of Hope of Asia. Maayong hapon, a pleasant good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for inviting me, my wife Jubel, and our children to share with you this afternoon my experiences on family love and marriage. There aren't many experiences though, because I'm married to only one woman. Love is a many splendid thing. I think everybody is familiar with the song. The best I think it was first recorded by the Four Aces. And according to the internet, it was the best version of the song. Of course, Frank Sinatra sang it, Andy Williams recorded it, Nat King Cole, but my favorite is the version of the Letterman. My wife, Jobel, and I celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary last year, the same year that my parents, June and Gigi, celebrated their golden anniversary. Jobel and I have known each other since we were 13 years old. We were classmates in high school, and we were high school sweethearts. And little did we know then, 1978, that we would be exchanging marriage vows 10 years later. We were married on the same day, July 16, 1988, the feast of the Our Lady of Mount Carmel. And let me introduce Jobel, Ma'am Tindog Palihog. That's my wife, Jobel, and our three daughters, Paige, Dia, and Nina. Jobel and I have been blessed by God with three daughters, Paige, Dia, and Nina. They are our three jewels who continue to dazzle and bring so much sunshine to the family. And Paige just finished law school and is now preparing to take the bar exam in October this year. Dia finished last year with a degree in social sciences, and our youngest, Nina, is an incoming psychology senior. Jobel and I have been blessed as well with role models, the solid marriages of our parents, Daddy and Mommy's marriage, as well as my parents-in-law's marriage. My in-laws were married for 46 years before my father-in-law passed on in 2005. Our parents on both sides gave us unconditional and selfless love and support throughout our marriage, which have positively contributed to our staying committed to our vows. And we are most grateful that they were there to help us out in raising our children, especially in the early years of our marriage when we were still struggling. Not only are we lucky to have supportive parents, but also our children are luckier to have involved grandparents. It will be a great privilege on our part that when the time comes that we reverse our roles, we will be there to support them. As a parent, I believe that how we treat our children when they were young is how our children will treat us when we are old. We should all the more give them the respect, attention, and love in their twilight years, and never consider them a burden. As any married couple here can attest, every marriage has its share of ups and downs, of good and bad times. Jobel and I were only 23 when we got married. Pretty young if you consider today's generation's marrying age. I guess the average age of yuppies settling down today is 30. Like many couples, the challenges in the early stage of marriage were adjustments to living together and financial concerns. When we got married, Jubel was already working while I was still in school. I was a working student and finished my law degree by the time our youngest was a year old. Her older siblings were in school already. We were fortunate, and chiefly because of our faith in God, that we went through those tough times with the love and support of our parents. Daddy and Mommy would help us out financially every month. Since they were based here in Manila at that time, we were living in their house in Cebu, rent-free. We lived in their house for 24 years as caretakers, and moved out only a year and a half ago when we built our own home. Every year for 17 years, they would borrow our children to spend the summer with them in Cebu and Baguio. My parents-in-law, who are based in Cebu, would sometimes drive the children to school when we could not bring them ourselves. My late father-in-law, who was a retired general, never missed out on Grandparents' Day school activity of the children. In our family, this is how our parents have showed us and paved the way to solidifying our family roots. And for this, we are eternally grateful. When we started out as a married couple, Jobel and I did not actually sit down and make a list of do's and don'ts. One thing, though, that we agreed on, and is the backbone of our marriage, is honesty. Honesty is, for us, the very core of our marriage. Honesty is the fruit of one's love for one another. This is also how we raise our children. We allow them to see not only our strengths, but also our weaknesses. Not only our triumphs, but also our faults and failures. One thing that we try to impart to them is to be true to oneself. We may not be perfect parents, but we believe that if we show our children our true selves and not cover ourselves with masks so we can look perfect to them, they would appreciate it more. As parents, we do not also expect our children to be perfect. No one is. We want them to experience the sweetness and bitterness of life, to expose them to the trials in life, to deal with different types of people and the realities of life. As early as elementary, we encouraged them to attend college here in Manila. Although we guided them, we let them choose the courses they wanted to pursue. Letting go is a hard decision for most parents to make, especially when all your children are girls. But we did because we knew that we had given them the roots that will hold them steadfast in their values and the wings that will allow them to fly and soar high as they go through life. I guess we made the right decision. Now in their 20s, our children, when they write to us on our birthdays, anniversaries, or any other special occasion, or even on a Facebook status, they tell us that they appreciate it very much that we allow them to study in Manila and for letting them go and grow. When I first ran for public office in 2004 as Cebu City Councilor, I conferred first with my family about my joining politics. Jubel and our girls did not want me to join politics because of, as everybody knows, the kind of politics that we have in the Philippines. But they later on agreed and supported my decision. In one of our family meetings, I remember one of the conditions set was when every time we would hear Mass and the priest would criticize or attack politicians for their corrupt practices or official wrongdoing, they can hold their head up high and say to themselves that that is not my father, that is not my husband. My family has been very, very supportive all these years. They have been with me and have been exposed to 4 electoral campaigns since 2004. And when I first ran for governor in 2010, I again conferred with them, Jobel, the children, my parents, and thought that this was a different position, a much higher one, and covered a larger area than the previous one. Reluctantly, they gave me their blessings. Again, Jobel and the children joined me in the campaign trail and at times separately campaigned in other parts of the province. When I lost in 2010, it was actually Jobel who cried. Not because I lost, but because she saw my sacrifices and the family's sacrifices and how we campaigned so hard with meager resources. In 2013, by God's grace, we won. But winning was just the first step. The main challenge, as we know, is governing. And I believe good governance starts with one's character. A public servant is expected to serve the public and not to be served by the public. It's been said that in politics you can find both sinners and saints. You won't tell them apart by how they look or which speeches they make or what party they join or which churches they attend. You can only try to tell by the way they conduct themselves, especially when no one seems to be looking. For me, politics provides special opportunities to share compassion with people, especially those who are poor, hungry, and powerless. And this, for me, is the good side of politics, as long as it is done with all sincerity and honesty, and not with the intention of exploiting other people to advance one's interests. Every public servant should clothe himself with humility, a virtue which is getting rare among many politicians. Power and authority can be intoxicating sometimes. What with all the accolades that you get from people who have put you on a pedestal because of your position. That is why we need our families. We need our families to remind us always of who we are and to keep us grounded. The people closest to us help check our ego. Although I do not see the need, my position requires me to have some police escorts every time I travel around the province. I compromise with just 2 at a time because honestly, I do not like it. When I assumed office last year, the local Philippine National Police even assigned 2 policemen at our home at night. But we asked them to pull them out because our home is our sanctuary. With the little privacy that most public figures have, we need our space too. They also assigned Jobel, a policewoman, as a security escort. But she also gave her up because to her, it was a waste of public funds. With the children already here in Manila, Jobel and I try very much to free up our Sundays from any official duty so that we can hear Mass together. And if I needed to be somewhere on a Sunday, I would bring her along. This chapter of our lives is just starting. As a husband and a father, I realize the sacrifices Jobel and her children have gone and will go through, especially since they did not ask for this. And it is my commitment to my wife that we will maintain a relationship, to keep a relationship and not just coexist. It is common knowledge that some marriages of politicians collapse because they have stopped relating to each other. And it is my commitment to my children, whom God lent us, that I will remain involved in their lives and to continue loving their mother. And to the rest of the family, it is my commitment not to tarnish our name. And to the Almighty, it is my commitment and prayer that I will be guided by the Holy Spirit and that God will make me a good servant of his people as I perform my duties as Governor of the Province of Cebu. Salamat po, maraming salamat at maayong hapon sa inyong tanan.
Nazareth, thy faithful performance of our Christian duties towards God, whose will is our satisfaction. And may the Holy Family, the family of families, protect our family and our home, now and forever.
Love in the family, or family as love, is not an accident in history. Families of today and those before it, since time immemorial, are not chapters of historical accidents. We thus find it most appropriate and fitting to go back a little bit to the beginnings of the family for us to fully appreciate that families like the three-generation Davide family and also your family are not indeed accidents of history. On the contrary, the family is God-ordained, God-instituted. Genesis, the first book of the Bible, Old Testament, reveals that on the sixth day of the creation event, God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Then God blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it." The woman was created out of one of the ribs of the man, and God brought it to him, who said in return, "She is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh." For this reason, a man leaves his father and mother and clings to his wife, and the two become one flesh. We know, of course, that the first family was that of Adam and Eve. They had many descendants from their sons, Cain and Seth. The other son, Abel, was killed by Cain. Then came the flood, and only Noah and his wife, sons and their wives, were saved. One of Noah's descendants was Abraham, and the genealogy of Jesus began from him. Per the Gospel according to Matthew, there were 3 sets of 14 generations of families before Jesus was born. 14 generations from Abraham to David, 14 generations from David to the Babylonian exile, and 14 generations from the Babylonian exile to the birth of Jesus Christ, the Messiah. Then God gave his 10 commandments through Moses. The fourth of the 10 is, "Honor your father and your mother, that you may live a long life in the land which the Lord your God is giving you." It is to be noted, however, that the first 3 commandments refer to the command to honor God. You know very well the first three commandments. It follows, therefore, that insofar as the duty to honor is concerned, This fourth commandment actually places the family next to God. The Christian family begins with the Holy Family, the family of Nazareth, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. It is the model of all Christian families, but no other family has equal and can ever equal or surpass it, for the plain and simple reason that the child in that family is Jesus himself, who died on the cross for man's redemption and salvation. In the cross with Jesus crucified, we have the picture of love itself, beyond and without measure, in the fullness and magnificence, eternal. Truly, as the Gospel according to St. John said, God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him may not die, but be have everlasting life. And as Jesus himself said in the Gospel according to John again, I am the good shepherd. A good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The woman in the Holy Family is Mary, the true mother of love. She is, as we praise her, mother of God, mother of Christ, immaculate spouse of the Holy Spirit, mother of divine grace, mother of the church. The father in the Holy Family is Saint Joseph, the God-appointed guardian and protector of love, because into his faithful care were entrusted Jesus Christ, who is love, and Mother Mary, the mother of love. Sacred indeed is the family. So also is its foundation, which is marriage. As to marriage, Jesus in the Gospels, according to both Mark and Matthew, declares, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother, and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer one, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, no human being must separate. To show the importance of Jesus, to show the importance Jesus gave to the institution of marriage as the foundation of the family, the first miracle he performed at the start of his public ministry was his attendance at the wedding in Cana and the changing into wine of the gallons of water for washing. The wedding in Cana, we know, is now the second of the luminous mysteries. Then marriage was proclaimed as one of the 7 sacraments. It is sacred and covenantal because it makes man and woman a part of the great mystery of creation. In his letter to the Ephesians and the Colossians, St. Paul enumerates the duties and obligations of husbands, wives, and children. Among them, wives and husbands must be subordinate to one another out of reverence to Christ. Husbands should love their wives as their own bodies. For he who loves his wife loves himself. For no one hates his own flesh, but rather nourishes and cherishes it. Children should obey their parents because God commands, honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise that you may have a long life on earth. Then the book of Sirach declares, happy the husband of a good wife, twice lengthen are his days. A worthy wife brings joy to the husband, peaceful and full is his life. A good wife is a generous gift bestowed upon him who fears the Lord. Indeed, the true, indestructible foundation of the family is love. God so wills it to be so. And what kind of love must be lived for families to be able to build a home of love and to be part of history of a people of love, of civilization of love? It certainly is not that kind of love which someone has defined as, open quote, a feeling which you feel when you feel like feeling a feeling which you have never felt before. St. Paul, in his first letter to the Corinthians, teaches and tells us what the qualities and virtues of that love should be. Quote, love is patient, love is kind, it is not jealous, love is not pompous, it is not inflated, it is not rude, It does not seek its own interests. It is not quick-tempered. It does not brood over injury. It does not rejoice over wrongdoing, but rejoice with the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. These are the virtues and qualities of that love which we have unfailingly sought for and painstakingly tried to follow, to be able to make our family of 3 generations one where dwells the Trinity of love. Love of the first, love of the second, and love of the third. Beautiful, happy, united, strong, and enduring family. For it is one in faith, one in heart, one in mind, one in spirit, one in love. This is the kind of love that aided us to surmount and overcome the pains, sorrows, sufferings, afflictions, trials, tribulations, sadness, troubles, helplessness, loneliness, rejections, the doubts, confusions, and fears, as well as the challenges of all sorts, and even the anger which confronted us or which we faced at one time or another, either briefly or for a time during the 50 years of our married life. These years were not all a bed of roses. If it were, we would not have survived. For roses fade, wither, and die. Those were years that demanded prayers, sacrifices, perseverance, patience, endurance, strength in faith, courage in hope, and a forgiving heart. How was this kind of love achieved and nurtured by our 3-generation family? Only by entrusting ourselves, this 3-generation family, completely and unconditionally to God, by making the Holy Family as the model. With 5 children born in a span of 7 years, very close, no, ang gap? And with only a limited income, through honest labor, I repeat, honest labor, of Gigi as a government employee, and of June as a practicing lawyer, 60% of whose cases were pro bono, and whose service to the government was more of a sacrifice as a service to the people. And in the midst of a social and economic environment of materialism and diminishing spiritual, moral, and ethical values, life was not easy. Only divine guidance and mercy did miracles we never expected or hoped for. Thus, we always begin the day upon waking up, conversing with God in the prayer room in our homes in Quezon City and Cebu City, and for 3 years in New York. Gigi and June have to do it separately because June wakes up early at 3 o'clock in the morning, and Gigi usually wakes up at 4:30 in the morning. Gigi reads the gospel for the day and recites the rosary and many other prayers before attending Mass at our parish church in Quezon City or in Cebu City, and for 3 years in New York. Gigi is very active in a mandated organization, the Daughters of Mary Immaculate, and is a lector commentator in our parish. In New York, she was even a lay minister. Upon waking up, June casts the Bible and prays to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the Santo Niño, and Our Lady. June, too, is an active member of the Knights of Columbus, the biggest international organization of lay Catholic gentlemen, whose cardinal principles are charity, unity, fraternity, and patriotism. Gigi and June are devotees of the Divine Mercy. Praying the Rosary is a family tradition. We always start anything we do for the family, and for others, and for us, with a prayer in our hearts and lips invoking God's guidance and seeking the light and the lamp of the Holy Spirit and His gifts. We saw to it that our children would get Catholic education and training, at least in their elementary grades. Sundays were for the family, which start with attendance at the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass in our parish. Seldom did we have Sunday lunch in restaurants. We preferred the home kitchen. Gigi cooked her favorite recipes, and he would invite our parents to be with us for lunch. Christmas, New Year, Holy Week, birthday anniversaries, among others, were great occasions of loving togetherness. We simplified our needs. We preserved and practiced values which we acquired from our parents, the values of piety, charity, compassion, integrity, honesty, sincerity, respect, humility, and hard work and service for others. Quarrels at home then were none. All spirited discussions of issues and ideas. Each respect the other's views. By His grace, Gigi was and continues to be June's inspiration, great supporter, his anchor, the wind beneath his wings. Gigi has always been a uniting factor, a source of hope, a light in times of hopelessness. Young lawyer and then trusted with elective and appointed positions in the three branches of the government. June's time for the family was just fairly enough. Gigi did the rest for him. But June always reserved quality time for the family, and the concerns of the family were always paramount, to which he gave undivided attention. It was his love for his family that obsessed him to serve the public offices with utmost integrity, honesty, responsibility, and accountability, knowing that to do otherwise will bring dishonor and shame to the family and destroy the future of his children. By His grace, God gave June the privilege of, among other things, becoming a part of the Constitutional Convention of 1986. This Constitution is the only Constitution in the world which is pro-God, pro-life, pro-marriage, pro-family, pro-people, and pro-poor. It recognizes the sanctity of family life and guarantees the protection of the life of the unborn from conception. Article 2 of the Declaration of Principles so states. One separate section, Article 15, is devoted entirely to the family. Section 1 thereof recognizes the Filipino family as the foundation of the nation and directs the state to strengthen its solidarity and actively promote its total development. And Section 2 declares that marriage as an inviolable social institution is the foundation of the family and so shall be protected by the state. And then when June was the Philippines' permanent representative and ambassador to the United Nations in New York for 3 years, God gave him another opportunity to advance his pro-life, pro-family, and pro-marriage advocacies. In many meetings and conferences he attended, he spoke of our Constitution, the way I stated earlier, and came out openly for the preservation and protection of the sanctity of life, the family, and of marriage, forthwith denouncing abortion, divorce, and same-sex marriage. I did that in the UN. In New York, Gigi, too, was busy in her pro-life and pro-church activities, especially at the parish where we belong, the St. Vincent Parish run by the Dominicans. For Gigi's fidelity and service to the church, Pope John Paul II conferred on her in November of 1988 the Pro Ecclesia et Pontificia Award. For his fidelity and service to the Catholic Church, Pope Benedict XVI conferred on June in 2007 the Papal Award of Knight Grand Cross of the Order of St. Sylvester. We have imparted to our children and grandchildren this virtue of putting complete trust and confidence in God. For in Him, nothing is impossible. And through Jeremiah, God gives us this assurance. I know well the plans I have in mind for you, plans for your welfare, not for woe, plans to give you a future of hope. When you call me, when you go to pray to me, I will listen to you. When you look for me, you will find me. Yes, when you seek me with all your heart, you will find me. We have imparted to them that a beautiful and happy family is God's precious gift to them, and keeping them pure, as a home of love, peace, and joy is their precious gift to God. And God has been and continues to be superbly kind and gracious to them. We have 5 children, 4 including Junjun, have each a beautiful and happy family and home. The 5th, Dalster Emmanuel, an architect who is still single, immensely loves us, his siblings, in-laws, and their children. Junjun has shared to you about his family. He has shared to you about the family, or the 3rd generation. Our 3rd child, Cheryl Ann, a pediatrician, and her husband, Sotero John Ureta, an internal medicine fellow, now living in Cadillac, Michigan, are having and keeping the biggest Filipino family in the States. They have 7 children. The first 5 are girls, and the last 2 are boys, born respectively on St. Patrick's Day on 17 March 2010, and on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception on 8 December 2013. Husband and wife are members of the choir of their parish. The 3 elder girls are altar girls. The family recites the Angelus 2 times a day, the Chaplet of the Divine Mercy daily, and the Rosary daily. Our 4th child, Noreen, married to Carlo Romel Salas, has 3 girls who study at the School of the Holy Spirit. The eldest, aged 15, is a member of the Young Proclaimers group as lector commentator. All grandchildren had studied or are still studying in Catholic schools. Paige just graduated from the Ateneo Law School with a degree of Juris Doctor. Our children and grandchildren never fail to communicate with us and express their love for us through their physical presence at reunions and through greeting cards and letters on a special occasion. We have these cards mounted in albums and letters bound, book-bound. These are titled Love in the Family Through Cards and Love in the Family Through Letters. We already have several volumes of them. These are volumes of love. Now, Gigi? Ikaw na lang.
My turn. In these 3 generations of love, these virtues, values, precepts, and practices that begin with the letter C play the most important roles. Complete trust in God, complete confidence in His mercy, compassion, charity, companionship, communication, and consultation, cooperation, collaboration, consensus building. They inspired and continue to inspire abiding love and built a forgiving heart. Forgiving is a virtue which has a cleansing and purifying effect, not only for the one forgiving, but also for the one forgiven. Forgiveness is a perfect bond that keeps aglow love, peace, and joy in the home. Our 3 generations are inheritors of the values of families of love. The tatay and nanay of Gigi and the papa and mama of June built happy families because they entrusted everything to God, and their love for one another was a shining example to others. We owe them a lot for what we are. Papa was a pro ecclesia et pontificia awardee, also conferred by Pope John Paul II in 1981, at the same time that Gigi was awarded too. He and Mama and family were the ABS-CBN Bayaning Pamilyang Pilipino Awardees in 1997. Since the family is God-ordained, God-instituted, is the natural and fundamental unit of society according to Article 16 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the foundation of the nation, whose sanctity shall be protected and strengthened by the state according to our Constitution. It logically follows that no society, no nation can be strong without strong families. Elsewise stated, stronger families build stronger societies and nations and assure the continuation of the human race through generations. Accordingly, any act, conduct, or policy that destroys, degrades, diminishes, or makes a mockery of the sanctity of the family destroys, degrades, diminishes the family, society, the nation, civilization, and humanity itself. Therefore, families of the world, including, of course, that of Asia, regardless of their religion, creed, status in life, political alignments, or persuasions, must protect, preserve, and defend at all costs the sanctity of the family against all anti-family evil forces such as war, terrorism, religious intolerance, poverty, domestic violence, policies that tolerate or allow abortion, divorce, and same-sex marriage, violence against women and children, human trafficking, drugs, cybercrimes, and many more in the lexicon of the devil. We should include in that list the evil of graft and corruption in the government, which is an evil and is scourge that inflict untold misfortunes and misery on the poor. And according to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, seriously affects the stability and security of societies, undermines the institutions and values of democracy, ethical values, and justice, and jeopardizes development and the rule of law. Families in Asia must stand together against these evil forces and should be lights of hope for Asia and the world. And now, may we give you back Iho of the third generation for a parting message.
To all of you, I bow down my head, not only as a sign of my great respect, because I am the youngest speaker brought in front of great family men and women on whom the future of families in Asia is entrusted, but also as an invocation and prayer to God that the little lessons in love we got from the three-generation Davide family may help, even in the smallest way, ignite Asian families to shine with love. Be lights of hope to light the world and to bring in it unity and peace. I hope to see this happen before I reach 50. May the generations after me be generations of families of love. Thank you.
Families of Asia, only love can truly make you a part of the history of a people, not just of your country, but of the whole humanity. Let that love bloom and glow with splendor. May I then request all of you to join representatives of our three generations: Iho, son of Joseph Brian; Paige, daughter of Junjun; and Carrot, daughter of Noreen, of the third generation, Junjun of the second, and of course Gigi of the first, in singing "Love is a Many Splendored Thing." Let us all sing. Love is nature's way. I've given a reason to living, the golden crown that makes a man a king. On a high and windy hill, in the morning mist, two lovers kissed, and the world stood still. Then your fingers touched my silent heart and taught it how to sing. Yes, true love's a many splendid thing. One more time. Love is a many splendid thing. It's the April rose that only grows in the early spring. Love is nature's way. I've given a reason to be living, the golden crown that makes a man a king. Once on a high and windy hill, in the morning mist, two lovers kissed, and the world stood still. Then your fingers touched my silent heart and taught to sing. Yes, true love, a many splendid thing. Yes, true love, a many splendid thing.
May that love in the Asian families serve as the lights of hope that could build a world where, according to the psalmist in Psalm 85, love and truth will meet, justice and peace will kiss. God bless us all, and thank you very much.